Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 now. Thursday, the 14th of July. Barry here with you and Manuela. And when we left you last time, we were at the train station on a very overcast day. Here's Manuela now.
It was a very overcast day, wasn't it? It was very rainy.
And it was not like what we hoped for,
No.
So next time, guys, if you're planning an outing to the Sunshine Coast, or
You need the sunshine.
we need the sunshine. So as the saying goes, perfect one day, soggy the next.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday we left here and we went to Bray Park, but unfortunately no trains were running. Here's Manuela for her opening sequence on this.
Yeah, there was no trains running because there was an accident at Lawton.
And we didn't find out until later on in the afternoon that some man had thrown himself against the train.
Yeah, when it was going. That's never a good choice, is it?
So never throw yourself against trains, guys. Be careful. So train travel can be fun, but be really careful. Here's Manuela now.
Yes, we always have to be careful around trains. And yeah.
And especially in a wheelchair, you've got to stand behind the yellow line.
That's right.
And
they have a blue square if you're in a wheelchair to stay on, don't they?
Yep, that's right. So we were meant to go and see a ginger factory and have a look around there. But unfortunately, the train was delayed by 45 minutes. Here's Manuela now.
Yeah, it made a problem, and it made a problem not getting a taxi while we were out there to go to the ginger factory when it's really raining. And the map was misleading, so where it said we can go, there wasn't a way to get there. So that wasn't good either. But we were still happy, weren't we? And we kept that cool, didn't we?
Yep, and we found a lovely cafe for lunch.
We did, and I think I had the best meal. What do you reckon? Or was yours the best?
Well, I won't comment on it. But mine was smashed avocado, I think.
It was on a toasty.
On a toasty.
With Turkish bread.
With Turkish bread.
And mine was a chocolate and raspberry
pancake.
Yeah, with which was really a crepe, with coconut ice cream.
So where were we on Tuesday?
Yandina.
Yandina, guys. So if you're ever in that area, check it out.
Invigorate was the cafe.
Invigorate was the cafe.
And a heads up that if you're in Yandina and go to Yandina station, their platform is particularly low, isn't it, Barry?
Yep, it sure is. Especially if you have someone in a wheelchair, you've got to floor it.
Yes, to get up, and you have to be careful on the way down, don't you? Because of the difference in heights between the train and the platform, it makes a steep angle when they put a ramp on, doesn't it?
And it's not undercover, except
it's not undercover most
where I attempted to do the video.
Yep, that's right. That was the only bit that was undercover.
So, unfortunately, Tuesday the outing didn't work out as planned.
No, and that I tell you what, Barry, You had to floor it to get up that ramp, and I had to push very, very, very hard to get that wheel trap out that ramp on the way out of Yandina Station on the ramp. So I was worried though, Barry, I tell you. But we did it, didn't we?
We did it.
Your wheels were slipping.
So, the rule about train travel. No feet on seat.
That's true.
Because one guy had his feet on the seat. Can't do that.
He didn't get in trouble though. He was sleeping. But he didn't have, I don't think he had shoes on though. I think he took his shoes off and then put them on the seat. But, yeah.
So, Yandina is about an hour and a half.
If you have a train that runs express for some other way.
Because, like, the train was supposed to leave Petrie at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, didn't happen. So,
No. It left at about 10:45, didn't it?
yeah. And luckily, we only had time to have a bite to eat and then head to the train for the hour and a half journey back to Petrie.
Yeah.
So like I just said at the start of the show today, plan your trip and check the weather before you head out.
Excellent, I agree. But we were very lucky that we had Neil to come and pick us up and then come and take us from Ray Park to Petrie. Yeah, weren't we?
Yep, so luckily Neil was close by.
Yeah.
So, another important rule, make sure you check the train station before you leave to see whether there's been incidences.
They usually tell you when there's an incident, I think. I don't know, because nothing came up online that I saw. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did you see it on the news, Barry?
No, it wasn't even on the news.
No, I didn't see it. I was looking for it on the news too, and I didn't see it on the news at all.
So, this is episode 28 now. Better late than never now. Again, it's another quiet day here.
It is a quiet day here. We're here alone, aren't we?
At Bray Park. But like I've said, we won't go into that on the show because I will get quite emotional. Like, as I said on the show on Monday, which was the 11th of July, I don't want to get too emotional here because of what's happened. But getting back to train travel, make sure you buy your ticket and have a valid ticket too. Here's Manuel now.
I think that's a really good idea. Yes, I think that's a very good idea.
So never have an invalid ticket. Never. Here's Manuel now.
Yep, I agree.
So the next topic on today's show is about how to prepare for a meeting.
For a meeting?
For a meeting.
Okay.
The next topic on today's show is about how to prepare for a meeting. Always have your questions ready.
Have you got yours ready?
In my head.
Oh, okay.
Always have your questions ready and your concerns. Here's Manuela now.
I think that's a good idea because if you have maybe not dot points written down. I think often dot points are written down are really good, because then if you get stressed about the meeting or you get involved in the meeting and you forget, then you can just read off your dot points. So often when if I go to an important meeting, I write dot points.
Now, always be prepared for bad news too.
I agree. It can happen, can't it?
And another thing we brought up too on the last show we brought to you, which was on the 1st of July, 2 weeks. Tomorrow we brought this, is don't keep hassling people, ringing them up.
Yeah, they don't like that much, do they?
And they will get annoyed, but we'll move off that because I think
We've covered it already.
we've covered it already. So getting back to the importance of a meeting, be on time for the meeting, be ready for it, and be respectful. Here's Manuela now.
I agree with all those points. Yeah, you have to be ready for bad news and be a good sport about it. And yeah, I think that's really important. I must admit, did you watch Ninja Warrior the other night?
I did not.
I saw some really good examples on Ninja Warrior of really good behaviour when people didn't win. Like encouraging your opposition to do just as well as you had done. Encourage them to get what they had got, even though they were beating them. And then being generally happy for them when they didn't win, but the other person won. I thought that was the best examples of good sportsmanship and a great outlook for life that I saw on Ninja Warrior.
So there you go. If something doesn't go your way, guys, don't go off the handle. Accept it. It is what it is. Here's Manuela now.
Yeah, you can't control situations, but you can control your behaviour during situations. So you need to always be in complete control of oneself.
Because if you're not in control, guys, what's the point? Here's Manuel.
I agree. You have to be in control all the time.
Because if you're not in control, you're all over the place. And like I've said in the meltdown video back in May, which is 2 months ago, the 20th of May, I had a big meltdown.
Did you? I wasn't here then when you had it. But it's easy to do, isn't it?
So if things aren't going your way, guys, don't have a meltdown. Okay, don't come in your room and slam the door, bang, 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 because that's not the way to handle a situation. Here's Manuela now.
Yeah, it's not a good way to handle the situation, is it? But yeah.
Because, say for example, okay,
Yeah, I'm listening to the example.
here's an example. Say, if I receive some bad news about Sydney, okay, and I had a big meltdown.
Yep.
Okay, what would Manuela do if I was melting down?
I would try to take your mind off it. Because if you take your mind off it, often in meltdowns, if you have a legit meltdown, what happened is your brain, you're not using your brain anymore, you're using your survival instincts. And they can be, they're usually fight, flight, or freeze. And so fight we can do with our mouths and we can do with our bodies. Freeze, we tend to be just stuck and we don't seem to do anything much other than breathe. And free and flight is when we sort of run away, or we try to get away. There's a desire to get away. And so these are called survival instincts. But what happens is our brain, when these take over, our brain switches off in lots of areas. Our higher brain functions don't work anymore. And what we need to do is to get our rational thinking again. We need to get our brains working. So things like counting back from 100, it makes your brain start working.
Back to number 1.
Well, you don't have to do it that long. As long as you do it about 5 or 6 of them, your brain is working enough that you will rationally start thinking clearly again. But, you need your brain to be working. Or sometimes when you're having a meltdown, if you take your mind off your problem, you need to calm down. So you need to take your mind off your problem, do something that will take your mind off your problems, and give your body a chance to think about your problems and to calm down. And we all need to sense when we get bad news, we have big shots of adrenaline, which are hormones. They go into our bloodstream and they help this fight, survival instinct, and it's for our well-being. So if we get a big shock, it could be a predator, like we're in the woods and we come in contact with a bear. This could be beneficial to us, or a wild beast. The flight, freeze is maybe not the freeze. In some cases, the freeze will help. This can help us survive. So we have these instincts to help us survive in certain circumstances. But when we get bad news in circumstances that involve humanity, we don't usually need the flight, freeze response. We need to think rationally. And to think rational, we have to keep our brain engaged all the time. And we also need to give ourselves a chance to calm down after that huge boost of adrenaline that's been injected into the bloodstream. That helps and aids that flight thing.
So getting back to...
Sorry, way too much information.
Getting back to the meeting, expect the bad news, guys. Here's my offside.
Oh, I guess so. Sometimes expecting bad news can help because then you're not shocked by the bad news, and then you don't have the adrenaline or as much adrenaline boost. So that can really help, you're right.
But if you go on and on about it and then start blaming someone else for it, are you going to get acknowledged for it? No. Are you going to get respected? No.
No.
Are you going to get reported? Probably. Most likely.
That's what you do, I guess, doesn't it?
And it all comes back to your actions and how you deal with it.
Yeah.
And stick to the subject of the meeting too, because it always helps, guys. Here's my offside.
I agree with all that. Excellent. I agree.
So, if you are concerned about something or you wish to discuss something private, okay, shelve it until the meeting is finished. Here's my offsider.
Yeah. If you're worried about something and stuff, in a meeting, I think you go through your points and say what needs to be said, and ask questions. Like most people in a meeting won't mind that you ask questions if you ask them politely and nicely.
But don't be rude.
No.
And abrupt about it.
No, being rude and abrupt won't get you very far.
Because the meeting will be terminated.
Yep.
Because like when I was angry, okay, I spent the rest of the day in here to calm down with a cup of coffee.
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't know about the coffee, but tea might have been better. But yes, if that's something you wanted to drink and helps you calm down, then excellent idea. Anything warm often helps you calm down. Soothing.
like chamomile tea or something.
Yeah, anything warm's good. Coffee's a stimulant though, so coffee can make you feel more energized. And sometimes when you want to calm down, coffee's not the best thing to have. But anything warm, warm milk, warm tea, milky coffee with lots of milk, good idea. Yeah.
So the last thing on today's show, which we're gonna focus on now, because it is a quarter to midday here.
It is.
Is
We've got an hour and 15 minutes until the taxi's supposed to come.
the last thing we're gonna talk about is how to apologize to someone if you've been angry. Well, the last thing on today's show is how to apologize. Well, you should always apologize in person if you've been angry, and don't take your anger out on someone else. Here's my offside.
I agree.
So you can either do it in person or you can even write them in an email.
That's true.
Here's Manuela now.
I agree. You can do it I think often apologies are best in person if you can or have the opportunity to apologise in person. I think they seem to be more sincere in person, especially you only do it if you're sincere. And sometimes you have to wait to apologise so you can be sincere. But I think they're best in person. And the next choice, if you don't have that opportunity, you do it in like a text message or email. But if you're not able to do it in person, that's when you do it in text message or email. Or on the phone.
But don't be rude about when you apologise, because I mean, if you say, oh sorry, is that going to achieve anything?
That's not sincere, is it?
It's not sincere. Here's Manuela now.
Yeah, I agree. You have to be sincere. That's what I said earlier. You have to be sincere when you apologise, or it doesn't mean anything, and the person will just be mad with you.
And it may not be the person's fault.
That's true too.
Because you may have got the phone call for a reason. Because you may have had some bad news about funding being cut.
Yeah.
Or you haven't got funding to do certain things. Here's Manuela now.
I agree with that. It's still got to do with lots of things. Yeah. And you have to be,
prepared for it, because like on 2 occasions where I did melt down.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
It's easy to do.
It is.
So please don't be angry with someone if they are trying to get their point across. Here's Manuela now.
I agree.
Because, like I've just said, it is not their fault. You have to get their side of the story.
Often they are looking from the situation in a completely different perspective. So often if you put yourself in their shoes, it's helpful.
Okay, but don't have a temperamental argument and say, I want to go there or here or do this or that, because when a company decides to change the outcome and you say, oh, I was looking forward to it, and then blame them for it, the person's feelings may be hurt quite badly. Here's Manuela now.
Yeah, It's their perspective, and when you have a meltdown, you're going to get judged for your behaviour, and not nicely. So, in an effort so that doesn't occur, and to be a good person, and to be a good person, that means your actions and your behaviours need to be appropriate. Then it's smarter just not to have a meltdown in the first place. And get ready for it, good or bad news, and always have control over what you say and what you do.
But it's like we said on the last episode we brought to you, that was on the 27th of last month, okay, Monday, okay?
Yeah.
It's up to you how you deal with all of this.
It is, yeah.
And if you choose to be an idiot about it all, okay, the choice is yours. You can either sit in your room with the door shut and start abusing people, or listen to what they have to say. Here's Manuel.
I agree.
So be mindful of other people and listen to what they have to say. Here's Manuel.
I agree.
So, in ending our show today, we'd like to give you some points. Think before you act, speak, or do anything. Here's Manuel.
I agree. You should always think before you speak and before you act.
Because if you go and then say SHUTUP, I don't want to know about it. The person will say, "Excuse me, please do not tell me, swear at me, or call me names, because I am only here to tell you what I'm being told or what I've read in an email." Here's Manuel now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, another important tip before we head off.
An hour and 8 minutes.
An hour and 8 minutes. Think about what you're going to do. Take a walk or something if you're very angry. Okay, but don't just storm out of the house. Here's Manuela now.
I agree. And if you need some space, you have to say, hey, I'm just going to go for a drive or a ride or a walk. And go have a walk around the block if that's what you need to get your head clear and come to terms with whatever bad news you've got. So it's okay if you go for a walk or drive or a ride, but you just have to let people know that you're going. And just say, hey, I need to leave. Just can I just have some space? And most people are okay with that. And when you get bad news, most people understand what it feels like. And often people need space to process what has happened.
Because, like I just said a couple of minutes ago, it is no good blaming someone else because you've received some bad news. And this is what we'd like to close today's show on. Because, like, blaming other people because you have bad news, no, it is not the way to go.
It's not okay, is it?
It's not okay. Here's Manuela for her closing message on this.
Oh, I think it's not okay to ever not have control of your body and say things or do things that upset or hurt anyone. So it's always good to be ready for everything as much as you can. And if you need a couple of deep breaths before you say some things, often that's a really smart choice, is have those couple of deep breaths and give you time to think before you speak or act.
Because if you say, I don't care, I don't want to know about it,
that just puts it off. And it's rude.
And and your anger can drive people away, guys. So really do think before you speak and act. It's like this: look before you cross the road. And that's where Manuela and I would like to leave you for this Thursday. So until then, thank you for joining us here. It is time for us to go. Thanks for your company, and we'll see you on the next show. Until then, bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.